leaks around your house every day. Every drop counts. When brushing your teeth, don't let the water run away. Come save the water, preserve the water right now. Every drop counts. Save the water whenever you take in your shower. Every drop counts. Make saving the water your business every hour. The water, the water, the water, the water right now. It's up to me and you and you and you and you. The water right now.
Do just one thing.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of The Waterline. I am Jamie Morris, Communications Officer in the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, Energy, Utilities, and Domestic Transport. And I'm honored to have as my guest today the Customer Services Manager at the St. Kitts Water Services Department, Mrs. Shanda Quilly Hanley. Welcome to The Waterline.
Hi, good morning.
All right, it's an honor to have you. So in just a little bit, we'll be talking all about customer service, and of course you have the opportunity to engage the lovely lady here. If you have questions, comments, concerns, queries, those sorts of things, then we'll give you an opportunity to do that. But before we begin today, I do want to share briefly a notice of a public consultation that is scheduled to begin on the 16th. I have a few dates for you. It's concerning the St. Kitts, or rather the SKN Transwater Project. So there's a public consultation that will be held on Monday, June 16th at 6:30 p.m. at the Poinciana Conference Room at the Clarence Fitzroy Bryant College. And there are additional meetings planned on the community level, on Wednesday, June 18th at 6 p.m. Head to the St. Paul's Community Center if you're in that vicinity. On Thursday the 19th as well, they'll be heading to Sadler's Primary School at 6 p.m. And on Friday, June 20th, they'll be at the St. Johnston's Community Center in Basse-Terre at 6 p.m. And not to forget, I jumped over a date, which is Tuesday, not to leave Nevis out. Tuesday, June 17th at 6:30 p.m. Head to the Nevis Performing Arts Center, or NEPAC, 6:30, to hear all about the SKN Transwater Project. And very briefly, a few of the goals that, or the objectives that the meeting will satisfy would be to introduce the project to the public and also sensitize stakeholders about the project and the scope. So please, head out. Public service announcement complete. And we continue now with the Waterline with my guest here today, Mrs. Shanda Quilly Hanley, Customer Services Manager of the St. Kitts Water Services Department. And just to orient our viewers today, Mrs. Hanley, Quilly Hanley that is, we'll be talking about what you do and how it impacts the customers of the people that you serve, all right? So I want to begin by asking you generally, what do you do?
Okay, so as the Customer Service Manager of Water Services, I am tasked with the responsibility of ensuring that water gets to the home from the beginning. The process starts with you applying, and the process ends with building. So that's it in a nutshell.
Wonderful, and there are many layers which we now need to unpack. And obviously, I did say before that we would allow the viewers to weigh in, so keep these numbers handy. You can call in and ask your questions, make your comments via 465-1977, 465-1903, and 662-8674. All right, so one of the things that you mentioned is, of course, the thing that everybody seems to be focusing on these days, money, in some way, shape, or form. So let's talk about the billing inquiries. Is it typical for customers, or rather, how typical is it for customers to inquire about their bills, and how do you facilitate their inquiries?
Okay, so we have a inquiry department. If customers has a query as it relates to their water consumption, the bill, there is an area in the Water Services Department, someone is there who is able to assist with any question and solve any problem that you would have as it relates to your bill.
So effectively, the things that they might query, typical queries I would imagine would be, my bill is too high, perhaps I'm not using any water, why am I getting charged for it, payment due dates and things like that. and you facilitate those. You forward that information to the relevant people.
Sure. One thing I need to mention is that the water service rates are pretty outlined on the bill. If there are any question, or if you don't understand what is written on the bill, you can always call or come into the water services department and we'll address those concerns. Now, if you do not use, or if you use between 0 to 25 gallons of water, you pay a minimum payment of $20. That's for domestic users, and commercial users is $39.50. Thereafter, the usage would be then divided into 100 and times 0.72. So there's a tier to each payment. All
Wow.
right? So we have different tiers, and they are outlined on the bill.
Which then makes it easy for the customers.
consumer, yes, to
Yes.
understand how we generate the bills.
And I like that because it speaks to the transparency that we are trying to let everybody know that we are about at the ministry, and by extension at the St. Kitts Water Services Department as well. So thank you for outlining that. If it's on the bill, and it's also outlined on the water.gov.kn
as well.
website as well. So feel free to visit that, water.gov.kn. That is the
So
website.
the information is ready and available for you guys.
So walk me through the new service requests, because people are building more and more
Yes.
homes. They're establishing communities elsewhere. People are moving to St. Kitts. New services requests. How do we handle those?
Okay. So there's a form, there's an online form. You could go to the website as well and you could upload the relevant forms. Or you could come in person. You'll be given a form. You would need to walk with or have on hand, readily available, your photo IDs, 2 photo ID, government issued photo ID, proof that the property belongs to you. Then after you fill that form and you give us the relevant documents, there is also a waiting process of 5 to 7 business days for our unit to do an investigation. Then we would get back to you and give you your fee as to how much it is. It's like an estimate cost to connect, for the connection. After that is done by our team, our able team, there's a waiting time after you get the call within the 5 to 7 business days. There's a waiting time after you pay the $325. Bear in mind, the $325 is just a minimum fee. The price varies. If you're already in a developed area, that would be the basic price, $325.
All right, so just so that our viewers and listeners are clear, one of the considerations for that varying price, one of those things that impacts that would be the development of the area.
Yes.
It would be whether pipes need to be laid to
Right.
connect to, and how far
Yes.
it would have to be laid, etc.
Correct. And there can also be a delay time if the proper infrastructure is not in as well. Okay, so that we'll have those delays. So after after we have done our investigation, the consumer would then get a call to come in to pay the relevant fee. After which, our connection crew would be dispatched and process or continue with the procedure of completing the connection.
Okay, and you missed the best part, because when they come in, they will engage with customer service representatives like you, warm and friendly and courteous.
Correct.
Wonderful. All right, so that takes care of the new connections. We've already talked about billing inquiries, and you've done a very good job of outlining that customers themselves can actually calculate their bills so that they can flag any issues. I want to speak to you about account updates, which would entail requests for personal information. I know that there was a little bit of a drive from the St. Kitts Water Services Department, or by the St. Kitts Water Services Department, rather, to get customers to update the information as well. So I'm looking at account updates. Perhaps this is all inclusive. What can you tell me about that?
Okay, so the drive is moving a bit slow. We have had customer service reps on this very same program. We ask that you come into the unit and update your contact information. It has been going slow, so we have put something in place. One of our customer service staff is currently with a meter reader. They would engage the customer to get the information so that we can update our system.
So that entails actually going house to house or door to door.
Yes,
No wonder it's taking time.
yes, it's tedious.
But you've felt the need to implement such a measure because you're not, well, let's put it this way. You mentioned before we got on air that there is a little bit of an issue with
course.
the
Return
excess.
of bills.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a lot of return bills. That's one of our challenges, one of our biggest challenges, return bills. So we've decided to put that initiative in place so we could tackle the return bills. Okay, it's a bit slow to go from house to house. So we are asking the general public to assist us by coming in, or you can call, or you could go online, fill out the relevant form to just get your information updated. Another observation is when you would have come in to apply for a new connection, you would have probably given the area in which you're planning to bill.
Yes.
But that area may not have a postman like allocated for there. So it is important that the mailing address is key. There's, you're living by a place physically, but the mailing address is very important so that the bill gets to you.
And that means that the mailing address and the physical address might be very different.
And it can be different.
But you can send it.
It can be different,
Yes.
okay?
Yeah.
Or if there is no physical, if you don't need a physical bill, we send bill via email as well. Okay? So we are making it easy for all of us.
I like that, exactly, because then you'd be sure that the bill gets to where it needs to get to. And also, there's an online platform where you can pay
Yes.
your bills as well, so those receipts are there. Does that cut down on the paperwork that you generate by sending the bills out? If somebody pays online and they get a receipt?
Yes.
Well, then that means that, again, there needs to be an appeal to the public. So I'll make it on your behalf, and you can join me.
Thank you.
Echo those sentiments. To use the online platform. The tutorial, I know, is actually online at water.gov.kn. It's also on the Water Services Department's Facebook page as to how people can use their account information to set up that online payment. And so that would help you, and of course help the worker that's walking around with the meter reader as well. So as we talk about meter readings, and again, I don't want to monopolize this conversation, so if any of you out there has a question, concern, query, comment for this lady who is here with me right now, Mrs. Greeley Hanley, Customer Services Manager at the Water Services Department, feel free to call us at 465-1977 or 465-1903 or 662-8674. You never know, she might be able to give you the information that you have been waiting for. All right, so as we continue our discussions, I'm curious to know, I would think that if I had to bet, and I don't bet, but I would think that if I had to bet any money on this, one of your biggest gripes, or customers' biggest gripes, might be the meter readings. They're not understanding how those things go, they're querying their bills, am I right?
Correct.
All right, anything else that stands out?
We sometimes, we don't like, it is not, to do estimate, or should I say guesstimate, but we have those challenges where our meter readers are not or we don't have full access to the meters because persons either cover after building, erecting their houses, cover the meters with dirt, or they would fence, gate is locked, no access, dogs. We also offer relocation of service of relocation of meter. So if you want the meter to be relocated, you could come in and you could request for the meter to be relocated.
Let's talk about that for a little bit. So, based on everything that you said just now about limited access, it means then that if, and we know there are some households that have this, the meter is on the inside of the property.
Yes.
So that relocation could easily be just moving the meter to the outside
On
of the
the
property
outside,
to give
yes.
you access to it.
Correct.
All right. So I assume, yes, there's a service, so there is a cost attached, a minimal cost,
There is
or an affordable cost. And I'm putting this out there. I'm assuming it's an affordable cost. We can find the details out and present it to you at another time, but all that information, of course,
There's a cost.
is available. Well, there has to be a cost
There's
because
a
it's a
cost
service.
There's a cost of $150,
So I was right. It is affordable.
right?
All right. So again, the public, you don't like to estimate, and we understand why, because obviously by the time you get around to getting the accurate reading, then it might lead to other problems if
So
people...
we are just asking the general public to make the access readily available. I think persons would know what time of month because it's on a cycle. There's an area, so the first Monday in this month, meter reader comes, so you just make it readily available for the access.
Well, that's something as well, now that you've mentioned it, because I have seen that information on the water.gov.kn site. Perhaps that's something that we need to publicize a little more regularly so that people know, and that would facilitate your work as
Currently,
well.
all connections are being done we're not putting any
On the inside.
on the inside anymore.
Great.
So we are putting it on the outside. So going forward, we won't have those
Issues.
issues. Right.
I guess you can always tell which customers were with you longer
Yes.
as a result of that. Okay, so something that has been on this program a lot, in the news as well, on social media, on our pages that we manage, would be conservation. We want to drive that message home. We know that people say regularly, we don't have water, we don't have enough, and we try to say, on the flip side of that, we understand we'll try to get you that water, but we also need you to conserve when you have it. What can you tell us about
Jamie,
the
I'm
conservation
so
programs?
happy you touched on consumption. I am so happy you touched on consumption because it is important that people understand what is actually happening. Now, on average, it is said that a household should be using minimum maybe 5,000 gallons of water per month at about. However, of recent, the last 2 months, we have been engaged in persons who are using 30,000 gallons of water and above. And it's generally high, it's high. The consumption is real high for a common household. So if persons are out there and you have received a call, you're receiving the call because you're using 30,000 gallons of water monthly, which is a vast amount of water, a very huge amount of water to be consuming for a household in 1 month. So we are actually, that's an initiative that we have embarked on about 2 months now. We are calling customers, asking them to check because there probably would be a problem. And we do adjustments. If your bill is high, after 3 readings and it goes back down, we make the relevant adjustment. But we don't want persons to be out there because the bill is affordable. It's affordable. Water is affordable. You just leave it because you could pay $50-something a month. We don't want it. We don't want to do that. We need you all to get those leaks. If it's a leak, whatever the problem is, you rectify it so that we can save water. So currently again, Mr. Morris, we have been calling our consumers who has been using 30 gallons of water and over monthly.
30 gallons or 30,000?
30,000
Yes.
gallons of water. Okay?
I'm curious, though, because if the average household uses 5,000, why 30? What's the significance of 30? Is it that that's, I would say, modal, that's the most popular, that's...
We look at it this way. Some persons would be renting and using 1 meter. So we just average it because we really don't know. We have some consumer who would come in and they would have a meter assigned to each tenant, but in most cases that is not the norm. So we average it like that. We try to engage our meter reader when they read, and they realize the reading is high. You're there on the spot, you engage the consumer. Check to see if you have a leak. The reading is extremely high. So
That's alarming, though, and that's actually, I'm glad that you mentioned the apartment-type household or concept, apartment building concept, because I was curious to know
Yes.
if going into your analysis was perhaps the number of people in the household. I'm not sure that we've actually, but perhaps you can tell me, or perhaps Mr. Williams can tell me, because if you're looking at an average household using 5,000 gallons per water, it means that there is some number
Yes.
that would be acceptable for use for an individual.
yes. Maybe one of our technical persons should have been here. But
But either way, there's a large discrepancy between 5,000 and 30,000, and we
30,000.
understand what that is. One of the things that we've talked about on this program before is the fact that the toilets are often the culprits, right? So that leaky toilet that just doesn't stop running, or the drip on the tap, and other things like that, which customers can easily do. They can fix, or they can, address. So we're appealing to you not to waste the water.
Water.
Right? So that's the conservation program, appealing to everyone to do that. We have roughly, we're time for just about one more. So in addition to what you do, we've talked already about the billing inquiries. We've looked at the new service requests, the account updates, which again, to repeat it, would require people to update their information to make your work easier, return mails, etc. Conservation programs, definitely key. A bit of a personal question before we end, because you are new to the Water Services Department. You've not yet reached your first year anniversary, so welcome to the department, I can say officially on air, and welcome to the Waterline, since this is your first. As we talk about initiatives, and as we talk about sensitizing the public to things that they need to do to conserve water as well, a personal appeal from you. I'd like to know what you would say to the people that they can expect from perhaps your leadership of that department, and things that you might be looking to do to make their lives easier as customers.
I believe I love I love the practice of good service, Jamie. I love, even though $20 might feel like it's not a lot, I still feel when you pay a water bill, you're supposed to feel like you're paying $1 million. So we had to offer that service like you're that you're paying $1 million. So I believe in good customer service, excellent customer service. I'm all about service, and I am appealing to the general public. It's only through your complaints we can make our unit better. Because if it means that we don't get complaints, it means that we are doing an excellent job. So it's only through your complaints we could effectively carry out our jobs and make our job even easier and to serve you guys better.
Well said, and I will forever remember that $1 million point. I love the contrast. Water is $20 for households generally, but you ought to feel like you're paying $1 million, and the service ought to reflect that.
Yes.
Those are words that definitely will resonate. So as we say goodbye to our audience this morning, I want to thank you, Mrs. Shanda Quilly Hanley, Customer Services Manager at the St. Kitts Water Services Department, for the job that you do and for joining me here today on this edition of The Waterline. I know it's not going to be your last, and the next time we'll talk about a whole lot more. So get comfortable. That chair is going to suit you just fine. I am Jamie Morris, Communications Officer in the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, Energy Utilities, and Domestic Transport, inviting you to follow the latest from the Water Services Department by logging on to water.gov.kn and also by following the ministry's website at mopieUDT.gov.kn. Until next time, bye-bye.
Water is life, 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 life. Water is life, 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 life. Do just one thing, just one thing.